Rockland Fire Protection District Board of Trustees, regular meeting Monday, August 12th, 2019 at 6 o'clock order. Roll call vote. Or no, roll call.
No.
You want to do it or me, or does
No, I
it
can
not
do it.
matter? Okay.
Trustee Malinowski.
Present.
Trustee Bernstein.
Present.
And Trustee Anderson.
Present.
There we go. We note that Chief Seberg and Karani are present. And Treasurer Snowden is present. I'm here, and also with me tonight, Jim Wargo. Jim's an attorney with the firm. Jim is the one who will be picking up coverage of the meetings. Him and John will do it. I'll be here, he and I will be here in September, but after September, it's in June.
All right. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. And if everyone could stand for pledge allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so now there are a couple of, should I say, drafts of the minutes going around via email, a few corrections, so we can take a moment to go over review those. There's one last minute correction you just noted.
Yeah,
Brian.
if you look on the first page on item number 3 of the public hearing, the budget appropriations ordinance, subparagraph D, where it says President Malinowski opened, strike open, replace it with closed, because of course you open the meeting, that's there, but you got to close it. I'll make the change and I'll email that page, the corrected page to Amy. And then the other changes are noted on here. I emailed these out on page 2, at the bottom of page 2, item number 11, subparagraph C. There was some additions. That was just Treasurer Snowden offered some comments, and then I added a whole item number 13. Secretary Bernstein had asked some questions about the prior arrangements, and I didn't have them in my notes. I told her that. Well, that's because I was busy talking, and I can't talk, walking and chewing gum, talking and taking notes.
It's a little hard.
So it's all in.
All right, thank you, Brian.
So when you do this, you consider your motion. It'll be considered minutes of the regular meeting on July 8th as amended.
Okay, so moved.
Motion by Trustee Malinowski.
Second.
Second by Trustee Bernstein. Voice vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Hearing none, passes unanimously. Okay. Chief's report. Right, well, it's your turn.
It's all right. I need all the help I can get, Brian. Chief's report.
Start? Alright, so it looked like we had a pretty busy month in July. Probably just do the heat a little bit there. Probably 15 ambulance calls. Usually we've been averaging about 7 and 10, so a little higher. Two false fire alarms. And then we also had a great time out. Our guys went out with Libertyville as well and participated in the old block party. And I was out of town, but I heard it was a good time.
So we had 7 calls total, so that made it 24 total for the whole district for the month. Nothing exciting, mostly rescue calls, a couple assists, and then 1 false fire alarm. And that was it.
So nothing 4th of July related?
No, I don't think we had to. I was actually working at our place on the 4th.
Good.
I actually think we slept the whole night.
Good. All right. Okay. The district trustees allocate time for those individuals who would like the opportunity to address the fire district trustees on any matter not listed on the agenda. Each person addressing the trustees is asked to limit their comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. Would anyone like to start?
I would like to speak.
Yes, sir.
My name is Ron Lamb. I wanted to make a recommendation to the trustees
to see if you have had an opportunity yet to visit each of the fire departments in person. And if you have not done so, I would recommend that you try to make an appointment or time with them to visit. I felt during the process of what was happening with the station before, nothing turned out to be more meaningful for me than getting a chance to do that. And I think in the role that you have as trustees, you have a responsibility to make sure that you understand what crew are available and whether they're there. So I know I didn't want to put that in the form of a question, but in terms of your role as trustee, I think that's critical. And to do so not in a cursory way, but in an in-depth fashion. I had checked with each of them beforehand, and of course, they're not only open to that, they would welcome it. And I think that's a responsibility.
Okay. We'll get an open invitation.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think next and most important of all is to see where you guys stand with respect to the building. I think that's coming up, and I'll be interested in that feedback. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Welcome. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Dan Rogers. First, a comment to both the chiefs. I received contact from both of your fire inspectors. They were both really great, very nice, courteous, walked through the places, both Graffiti Grill and my shop. Made good recommendations. We're working on fulfilling their requests, and that's the first time we've ever had a inspection ever at either facility. I appreciate it. You should know your guys were really respectful and offered assistance, numbers, and the ability to help us correct what they wanted. So that was much appreciated. I'm assuming you're going to carry on the same policy as the last board of not answering questions, which I think is proper. I did want to bring up a couple things and would like to know if you're available after the meeting to discuss these. I was curious as the status on the sale. When we approved it, or when it was approved, he said he had cash, he was ready to close in 30 days. I haven't heard anything more. I think that there's, if it had closed quickly or does close quickly, you won't have lost revenue. You'll be able to pay down the loan and not pay interest anymore as well. Put this building on the tax rolls for the residents, increasing the tax revenue levy by almost $1 million. Lastly, just an FYI, I inadvertently ran into the real estate agent who was handling this, and just for your information, the agreement was both for lease and for sale.
It was not.
It was, well, okay.
It was not. I struck out the word sale on every single agreement.
Correct.
Because his agreement for retention was only for the lease, because the provision, we talked about this, the provisions for sale are very specific, and that didn't comply with that.
Right, but once we put it up for bid and for sale, we indicated that we would pay him for sale. Okay. Well, again, that's just my recollection. I'm passing it on. You know, he did the job. If you folks choose to do whatever you chose to do. Lastly, I was also going to ask you after the meeting if you've been in contact with IDOT, if they have any timeline on the reconstruction of 176 and 41. According to State Representative Morgan's office, the funding is going to happen in the next session, and I was curious as to the status on that. So I'll wait and see how you do in the rest of the meeting, and then hopefully you'll be available to answer these questions afterwards.
Thank you. Anyone else in public comment? Okay. Next one is you, Brian. Attorney's report.
Well, other than, you know, the pending change in attorneys, it's been quiet so far in Springfield. We think Springfield will pick up again possibly in November when the veto session is, you know, up. But other than that, I don't have a lot. Jim, do you have anything you want to talk about?
No, other than secondary employment.
Yeah, but that doesn't apply to them. So. Yeah. The one change in the law that I believe has been signed into law under the, you know, the bidding provisions under 11K municipal groups do this, you know, you're not authorized to use them as well.
Mhm.
But I mean, that hasn't come up, so. That's it.
All right. Treasury report. Carl?
As per the balance sheet, the account totals at the end of, on July 31st of last month, the Lake Forest Bank capital had $36,476.44. The checking account has $376,798.80. And in the reserve account, there's $274,437.58 for a total cash of $687,712.82. Then moving on to the budget tracking, now that we did, the board passed the budget last month, I was able to create the budget tracking, so you'll see the profit and loss budget versus actual report. We are, at this point, 3 months into the fiscal year, so 1 quarter of the way through. You'll see that our revenue we're at about 50%, which makes sense between tax revenue. All the first payments have come in, and then the second payments come in the next month or two. We'll get probably about 90% of our revenue, and the rest will trickle in through the back end of the year. On the ambulance contract, we've made 2 of the 4 payments, so we're at 50% on that. You know, everything else is tracking fairly well. Obviously, on legal, we're a little high, but I think that's kind of front-loaded. It should be dropping off a bit. Insurance, of course, we pay that all at the front end of the year, so that's why it's 78% rather than that. So, all told, we're pretty much where we need to be, and on track on budget. So, if you have any questions on that?
I have no questions.
Okay. If you want to call the next item, we can go right into that.
Do we want to approve the
Yeah,
budget tracking treasurers?
Oh, yes, you need to, I'm sorry, you need to take a
Yeah.
vote on that.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second it.
We'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
Trustee Malinowski?
Yes.
Trustee Bernstein?
Yes.
All right, Carl.
Okay, on the outstanding invoices on checks, we have the mortgage payment for $7,500. Intersecurity systems, that's a quarterly payment, and that is for the monitoring and maintenance of the alarm system in this building. North Shore Gas is obviously the natural gas. ComEd, Comcast is phone and internet. City of Lake Forest, that's the quarterly payment on the contract. And that covers both Lake Forest and Liberty. We pay Lake Forest, and then they disperse it as appropriate. And then out of some recess for the our retainer and other services outside of the retainer. I'll circle back to that in a moment. So the total checks is $122,005.07. Then also too, we had 2 Costco charges. One was to the Illinois Association of Fire Protection Districts for 3 sets of manuals for the trustees, and then also for the video camera, as you requested. So I'm going to count that. So that's $311.20. Circling back on the legal thing, as I look at it, if I recall correctly, the additional $300 or so were for work that was being done on the tax objection case. And I thought, Brian, you might want to let them know or bring them up to speed on what that is.
Yeah. Persons, property owners can file an objection asserting that the district has no need for the monies it is levied. That's a tax objection. We're objecting that you're levied for taxes that you really don't need. And Lake and Cook counties are particularly noted for this. When that's filed, of course, the district is one of the defendants. There's one notable firm in Lake County that names everybody. They go through it and names everybody. Joe Miller of our firm goes down to either to Waukegan or Chicago to defend them for whatever. Rockland was named this time because now we have a station. We're not a paper district yet, So you have some arguments, and in fact, I shared that information with Joe, and Joe's trying to settle it with them. But they've already filed complaints saying, you have money that you don't need. Well, they don't have the full story of how much we have and all that kind of stuff. But, and, yeah, I mean, if we didn't go and defend it, then they get whatever they claimed. But we go up and defend it, and in some cases, we get it dismissed. In more cases, we end up settling for, you know, some portion or fraction thereof. I can't say that I'm aware of many that have gone to trial. Wish they could, you know. So, I mean, that's there.
Where's the status of that now?
I think we're dealing on maybe like 2013 and 2014 claims.
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, I can ask Joe to give me an update, and we can have that for the September meeting.
Yeah, that'd be good for turns update for next month. That'd be great.
Sure.
Yeah, and then one other thing too, last month we talked about the stale payroll checks.
Yes.
And you had spoken to some of the firefighters about
Yes.
that. I basically went back and double checked and triple checked, and indeed, those hours had been worked, those hours were entered into the system. Checks were cut, checks, you know, it was, the wages were calculated, the checks were cut, the checks have never been,
This is still,
It's
good checks out there, it's, okay.
Yeah, so we've got about $8,000.
Yeah.
In checks, so, you know, board let me to go ahead and reissue those.
Yeah, I've spoken with the majority of the, let's say the offenders on that list. And everything's been cashed, there's nothing laying around. So, you know, for what it's worth, I feel confident in reissuing the checks and that it won't be, you know, any double dipping.
Yeah.
So if
Well, of
we
the
have to,
8,000, 5,000 are with one individual.
yeah.
So, must be nice.
So for reissuing the checks, would we need to take a separate vote on that? Or, I mean, since that's money that's
You've already
been
approved
paid
the
out.
payment.
Yeah.
And what happened to the check, what happened to the first set of checks?
They never cashed them.
Never cashed them, they're gone.
They're lost.
So if
And we've done something to stop payment on those checks?
We-
that's,
No,
go ahead.
Okay, I looked into that, and Lake Forest Bank's policy is that they reserve the right to not cash any check over 6 months old, but they reserve the right to cash it if they feel like it. So you would have to issue a stop order, which is $30 for each check. 30. So the question becomes, you know, the board, do they feel the risk is such that we should stop order all 20 checks or so and deduct that from them, or whether to just go ahead and do it, and if somebody should cash one of those old checks and it does get cashed, then ask them, I guess up to the board unless you.
Well, my own concern is, I mean, you run the risk of improperly reimbursing somebody twice for something they're not entitled to, and should that happen, for me to try to go to them in court, in small claims court, to get that, it's going to far exceed that amount. I mean, if it's 20 checks at $30 a check, my quick math says that's about $600. And how much did you say the total was? 8,000? I mean,
Do you have the list in front of you again, Carl?
Yes.
Can I take a look at it again?
That's actually summarized, if you want the.
No, this is perfect.
Okay, this is the detail of each check.
So just by looking at this, there's, let's see, 5 individuals that have total number of checks out there for amounts greater than $100. So for those individuals, I'd say stop payment on the higher value checks, and on the ones that are less than $100, less than $50, I think the risk is very small, in my opinion. But that's just me. So if you want to take a look at it and see what you think.
you need a treatment.
think if they had the checks, they'd cash them back.
But it's funny because this is the second time it's happened when we used to pay out of the Northern Trust account. We had to close that account at that time too. It was back in the one person who has the 5,000 also had about 5,000.
That was my thought on those. Do you have any ideas or what you want to do?
Well, you're thinking to issue stop payment, anything over $100 or over?
Yeah.
And anything less, run the risk of seeing what happens?
Yep.
Well, look at some, you don't want to be overpaying somebody, but on the other hand, it seems kind of silly to spend $30 on a stop payment when the total check is $40.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I understand stuff happens with people, but when you get to large amounts, like you said, one individual having over $5,000,
There's risk a little higher.
right.
Yeah.
But I mean, if that's kind of your, my take of it, your intent is to reissue the non-negotiated paychecks and issue stop payment on any persons who were to receive more than $100.
Yes, and then deduct the stop payment amount from the check.
And
Yes, sorry. So, real quick, if you could, the list, what would be the total amount of the checks that are less than $100? What would that, exposure be, that risk? If all those less than $100 checks were to be cashed twice, what would the district be out at? That's, I'm asking Carl to do that.
There's 10, so you're probably, yeah, there's 10 checks in total. And I would say real quick, I don't know, $500-600.
how much?
$500-600.
Yeah.
I'll do 10 checks.
We could, I mean, should it happen, we could always go to small claims court. This is under $10,000.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think the first step would be we would ask to give us the money back.
Yeah.
absolutely.
And given the nature of all this, I would think that would probably, but that's really.
That's my recommendation, to reissue. So my recommendation is to reissue the checks. Anything less than $100, just reissue it. Anything over $100, deduct $30, so the stop payment fee of those checks from that payment.
That'll teach them cash negotiating.
Yeah.
And these are all over 6 months old?
At this point, yes. Yes, because the bulk of them are from
October,
October.
after the department closes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the other thing to know, Brian, is the bulk of them are after the department closure. They were issued towards the end of October. The department was closed the 1st of October? Yeah. Well, actually, the day before it knew it was closed. So, that's my recommendation. I'd like to make that motion.
All right, so let me just recap, so I want to write the minutes. The bulk of the checks were issued in October of 2019. We'll reissue the non-negotiated. 2018. We'll reissue the non-negotiated paychecks. And for checks to persons in excess of $100, we'll issue a stop payment on any of those checks. Otherwise, we'll just reissue them. And in reissuing the checks to persons to receive more than $100, we'll deduct the stop payment fee of $30 from the amount that's to be paid.
Yes.
Okay. So that's a motion by trustee Malinowski, second by trustee Bernstein. Let's do a roll call. So trustee Anderson?
Yes.
Trustee Malinowski?
Yes.
Trustee Bernstein?
Yes.
So that's that specific one.
That specific one.
Yeah, and I'd like to make a motion to approve the remainder of the outstanding invoices as presented by the treasurer.
There would be outstanding invoices in the amount of $122,500.50. $5.07 plus the Costco. Did that include or exclude the fee, Carl? The $311.40.
That excludes, because the bill just came today, so
Okay.
that'll be,
So-
the actual bill will be in next month.
Okay, so we don't need to approve that today?
No, it's not being, well, it depends, I mean, the check hasn't been written, the charges have been made, so.
Well, I mean, if you include it in the motion, you can pay it.
Right, we've not paid the bill, but we've actually, I mean, so we've incurred a liability. But I haven't actually, paid that with the
Well,
cash.
then just hold off until next.
Yeah, we'll hold off on that.
So, you're gonna pay the amount of $122,005.07.
Yes.
Motion by trustee Malinowski, second by
Second,
trustee Anderson. We'll do a roll call vote on that. That's trustee Anderson,
yes.
trustee Malinowski.
Yes.
Trustee Bernstein.
Yes.
Passes. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 9, discussion of possible action regarding sale of Rockland Fire Protection District building. As per our last meeting, I've spoken to Mr. Gucci, informed him again of his winning bid, and informed him that he needs to speak to his attorney then, and the attorney needs to speak to you. So have you had any contact with either, or, well, the attorney, not either, but the
Not
attorney?
at all.
Nothing? Okay.
Just for you guys, because you weren't here last time. Klugian called me, and I said, there's an Illinois Supreme Court rule that said when you're represented by an attorney, if I talk to him, it's an ex parte conversation, and I can lose my license. And I made a point, I told you this, but I told them this, I said, I ain't gonna lose my license over this. So I said, Klugian can have his attorney talk to me. I said, but otherwise, when Klugian called me, I said, suggesting talk to President Malinowski. And I told Klugian, I said, the ball is in your court. You gotta have your attorney contact me so we can do the contract, just like it says in the resolution that was approved a long time ago. There's been no action by him. He has the winning bid.
Yeah, so to answer your question, I've reached out to him several times to reach out to his attorney to contact Brian, and according to Brian, no such action has been made. So,
Did you actually speak with him?
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Did you contact his attorney?
Pardon me?
Have you contacted his attorney?
They don't know who he is.
Maybe President Malinowski could ask him and encourage him along that way.
He made a comment in the last conversation, he made a comment, and I understand this, and I mentioned this in the last meeting, he made a comment that he's trying not to get his attorney involved because he wants to save the attorney's fees. I said, I understand, but I said, if you want this to happen, you've got to have your attorney contact me so we can reduce the resolution into the standard sales contract, because I said, there's some things we got to do. And I said, and doing the contract is attorney business.
Could you get a sense of his enthusiasm when you spoke?
I pretty much informed him that he's got the winning bid, he's got to either continue the process or pull the bid. So, and I told him he can't speak to Brian directly, he needs to speak to his attorney, but then he needs to speak to Brian to set up the contract.
Could the board give him a deadline to execute it, and if he doesn't, move to the secondary bid and take that?
No.
No?
We John and I kind of kicked this around. If that's the winning bid, and if the winning bid fails, then we go back to square one. The winning bid's failed. We start the process all over. If that's the board's desired course of action.
Mention at all of the state's new funding ability for the intersection.
Transportation.
Did he have any comment to that effect?
Well,
That wasn't a topic of discussion.
I know, but is there a way you could characterize the discussion?
Pretty much informed him what he has to do if he wants to continue with the bid. That was the discussion. I'm not gonna talk business with him without having a meeting. He wanted to reach out to Brian, and he couldn't. Brian told me it's okay to reach out to him to tell him to continue the process with his attorney, and that's what I did. No more, no less.
Maybe you could encourage him and his attorney to come to the next meeting, so you can all get together.
I did inform him to try and come to the meeting if he's got any other comments, yeah. This meeting, he said he had something else going on, but he's got the schedule, so just like everyone else is listed.
So really, no update.
So, yeah, no update.
You've heard nothing since.
He's been contacted, it's not, voicemail or text or anything, I spoke with him on the phone, and that's been it. He's been informed he needs to speak to his attorney, speak to you. I urge him to come to meetings, but there are other pressing matters, I guess.
Brian, is there any kind of time limit that you have to put on a offer? I mean, is there a reasonable?
We didn't, there's a reason, at some point, the bid becomes stale. There's no hard there's no
Okay.
black and white rule that says what
Precedent
that
that
is.
says when it's stale.
No, and in fact, John and I talked about this too, just kind of kicking it around, at some point it becomes stale. We're not gonna let this hang out there for 20 years, it's stale. When we get to that point, if we haven't heard anything by whatever time that is, we'll come to the board and we'll say, look, he tendered the bid, the bid was awarded as the winning bid on day X, whatever that was, and it's been 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, whatever number that is, the bid is, no further action has happened, which was required in the resolution, therefore we think the bid is now stale, and we should void it. The bid is now voided, so then it's up to the board what you guys want to do. But we're not, I don't think we're quite there yet.
Yeah.
The longer we go with no further action, the more we enable that situation to arise.
It just seems like the longer we go, we're spending a lot of money to maintain a building that's not being used. And we're unable to pay off the debt on the building so that we can eliminate that $7,500 a month. It just seems like an awful waste of money to let this continue to go as long as we have.
And maybe give them a drop dead date and tell them at that date, we're gonna rebid it. And if you have some input from IDOT at that point as to exactly how everything would be laid out, that'll open it up to somebody else to look at it, maybe your number 2 or number 3 bidder. Maybe Kalugian will be a little more aggressive if he knows that the bid's gonna be tossed out as of November 1st.
Yeah, if there's no specific deadline that has to be met, why couldn't you do it in 2 months?
That'll get him off the
them.
top dead center.
And that's what I said, at some point we'll get there. I don't think we're quite there yet.
Has there been any precedent, what's a reasonable amount of time to wait before you declare it stale? In either of your experiences?
Can't say that.
I've never seen anywhere what John and I had talked about, it's not written anywhere. There's nothing on it. Sure, 6 months, pick a number.
Seems more than sufficient. I mean, it didn't have to be accomplished by this point, but it certainly should have been started and the ball rolling. If there's no written law on it or anything, then it seems to me the board can make that decision today.
The only thing we want to do is you need to give them a fair opportunity to do this. I think we've done that. At least in the past 2 meetings. Now, the 3rd meeting, we've had contact and we've said the ball's in your court. At some point, we're going to fish or cut bait.
Right, 60 days to give you earnest money. If you don't have earnest money by then let the board rebid it, see what goes on. Maybe get a representative from IDOT in here to give you some plans showing exactly where everything was going to lie. We'll let a future bidder know exactly what the access to the building will or won't be.
Depending on what the IDOT project is and they obviate the whole issue.
Sure.
And when they have it planned. But, more to follow.
So, do you want to make some kind of motion for putting 1 to 2 more months, 3 more months?
What
whatever
date,
on there,
what
or-
date did bid get accepted on?
Christ.
Ballpark.
It was early May, sometime. Well, because they took office May 21st, so I want to say like May 7th, May 14th, like a week
Yeah,
before.
so it's been 3 months.
So May, June, July, August, September, October, November. November would be 6 months. And your November meeting, your November meeting is Monday, November 11th, Veterans Day, which is fine. You can have the regular schedule meeting on a holiday. So, I mean, if you wanted to,
If we were to give them a drop dead date, either you decide by that or we rebid, could the new bidding have more descriptive terminology in it as far as moving things along quicker then?
The resolution?
sure, the resolution would say whatever we want. Absolutely. I mean, if that's what you want.
Just to prevent the same thing from happening.
Sure. So, I mean, do you want me to send him a letter saying, look, your bid was accepted as the winning bid at the May 14th meeting. That's what it was. No action has taken place to this date. If action hasn't been taken to reduce that into a sales contract on or before November 11th, the board will consider your bid as stale.
You want to go with the letter? You want to reach out to him? Want me to reach out to him and tell him before we send the letter? Before you charge us to send a letter.
Yeah, I mean, if you have his contact information, you've already built up a rapport, just give him a call and
Yeah, I'll let him know.
let him know.
Also, you need to vote on this, or is this just something I can do, let him know?
You probably want at least a consensus, an oral consensus of the board to direct you to contact Klugian and tell them if we haven't taken action to actually translate the winning bid into a contract before the November 11th meeting. At the November 11th meeting, the board will consider that bid stale and
Proceed with
and then
whatever we want to do.
correct. But at least get that as a motion of the board, for the consensus.
Yeah,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. And so, a motion by trustee Anderson, seconded by trustee Malinowski. Let's do a roll call vote. Trustee Anderson,
Yes.
trustee Malinowski,
Yes.
trustee Bernstein.
Alright, so I'll reach out to him, and then pending that conversation, if there is one, I'll let you know, Brian, and then we'll go from there.
Right.
So if the letter needs to be done, I mean, we'll cross that bridge when it gets there.
Okay. Hold on, I'm making notes here.
Yep.
You may wanna reach out to IDOT too and see if you can get a rep to come to one of your meetings. Give you some update on if this is funded, which they say it will be. Maybe even, just so you know, Morgan is your state rep for this area. Bob Morgan, maybe ask his representative or him to come to the meeting.
From what information I've had in the past, I mean, if it was on their charter, it's still at a minimum 5 years out. So, but I'll contact them.
Get a rep to come here and then they can speak to all three of you together.
And then, yeah, we can get it on tape and everyone can be informed. Sounds good, thank you.
So here's what I've got. That is, President Malinowski is to notify the winning bidder, Mr. Klugian, of his need to reduce the bid to a contract before November 11th, 2019, or the bid
On or before, right?
on or before 11/11/2019, or the bid will be deemed stale, and authorizing trustee Malinowski to notify Mr. Klugian. That's how I've got
That
the
motion.
motion.
Yep. Sounds good?
Yep.
What you wanted? Good.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm good.
Moving on to number 10, review of the process leading up to the outsourcing of the fire protection services and the dissolution of Norwood Fire Department. Who's your agenda item?
Yes.
You wanna talk to this, or?
Well, I had it on there in reference to the question I asked last month about copies of studies regarding the consolidation process and finding out those studies don't exist. And the only document related to this is the assessment that Brian did. I feel as the board, we owe it to the residents to find out why the previous board closed the fire department, laid off all paid on-call members, sold all equipment, and outsourced to Libertyville and Lake Forest without any studies or outside assessments. It concerns me that the only document that was